You go to a swimming pool once a week, and today's the day, but everything suddenly goes wrong. As soon as you enter the swimming pool, you look at the TV in the hall. Breaking news! Someone spotted a zombie in town. They probably went downtown, and they may be anywhere. If you see one, call the police immediately. You think it's probably safer to stay in a swimming pool. Zombies are slow and probably aren't good at swimming. So you go to the shower to change, but as soon as you enter the shower room, you notice that something's off. Who's a zombie? The two girls seem completely fine, but there's a bandage on the man's leg. No one would go to a swimming pool if they had cuts or scratches, unless they're a zombie. Once upon a time, there was a wealthy king who hired an artist to paint his portrait. The artist told the king that he wanted to be paid in gold, and he wanted to get paid every day. He also said it would take him 7 days to finish the painting. The wealthy king had only large bars of gold, and he wanted to give 1 bar for his work. But since the artist wanted to get paid daily, he needed to come up with a plan. He had a magic tool that could cut any material, but it was able to make only 2 cuts. How did the king split the gold bar so that the artist got his gold every single day in equal amounts? The king was really smart, so he cut the bars this way: 1/7, 2/7, and 4/7. The first day, he gave the artist 1/7 of the gold bar. The second day, he gave him 2/7, but took 1/7 back as change. The third day, he gave 1/7 back. The fourth day, he gave 4/7, but took the other 2 pieces back as change. The fifth day, he gave 1/7, so the artist got 5/7 of the bar. The sixth day, he gave 2/7, but took 1/7 back again. And the very last day, the artist got 1/7, so in the end, he had a full bar of gold. 4 friends, Josh, Maggie, Jason, and Rosie, were walking in the woods. It was a wonderful day, and they were about to start a picnic. But all of a sudden, the sun turned to black and they saw dozens of zombies approaching them. The friends started running away and saw a tunnel. It was dark and scary, but the guys knew exactly that when they crossed it, they'd be safe. They had only 12 minutes to cross the tunnel. It takes Josh 1 minute to cross it. Jason can do it in 2 minutes. Maggie thinks it will take her 4 minutes, and Rosie can cross it in 5 minutes. Not to risk it, the guys decided to split into 2 groups. The problem is that they only have 1 torchlight, and there's no way they go there in 4. How can they escape? First, Josh and Jason should cross it with a torchlight while the girls are waiting on the other side. It takes 2 minutes, plus 1 minute for Josh to go back. They still have 9 minutes. Josh hands the torchlight to the girls, and they cross the tunnel in 5 minutes. 4 minutes left. When the girls are on the other side, they give the torchlight to Jason, who comes back to take Josh in 2 minutes, and they run back together in another 2 minutes. The airport security had an emergency alert. There's a man with fake documents trying to fly away from New York. They had 3 suspects who look almost the same. Which passport is fake? No matter what country a person is from, no passport can have a photo with mountains in the background. All backgrounds should be solid. John's passport has a suspicious photo in it. His documents are fake. Mason is a lifeguard. One day, a girl came up to him asking for help. She said someone had stolen her wallet, which she noticed when she was going to go and grab a soda pop. Mason checked the towel where the girl left her stuff, but the only thing he noticed were her own footprints. Is this girl lying to Mason? The girl was telling the truth. Mason had an eagle eye, and he saw a guy with a fishing rod. He must have stolen the girl's wallet. No one wants to go fish in the public beach. Robbers stole a few precious gems the other day. The police were alerted immediately, but they didn't know where to look for the thieves. Suddenly, they got an anonymous email. Check all the bottles in the cars leaving the town. Best regards, Mr. X. At the end of the day, the officers stopped a car loaded with boxes and bottled water. The bottle bottoms were all covered with paint, so they thought the gems should be in one of them. The level of water was the same in all the bottles, but when one of the officers placed one of them right next to the box, He instantly realized something was off. What was it? The bottle standing next to the box is much lower than those still inside. The police then found there was a double bottom and the gems were hidden right underneath it. Two friends, Martin and Clyde, had a bet. Martin said he would throw a ball and it would come back to him. He also said there would be no obstacle or wall the ball could ricochet from. Clyde said it was impossible, and he lost. How's that? Martin threw the ball straight up. It obviously came back to him. No magic, just physics. Emily grabbed a really nice muffin at the cafeteria and put it on the office desk. She wanted to save it for later, but when she came back from the meeting, she saw someone had eaten her muffin. There were only 3 people who could do that, and only one person is telling the truth. Grace said it was Alicia. Alicia said she didn't eat anything. Tina says she didn't eat anything either. Who ate the muffin? It was Tina. Only one person is telling the truth, and it's Alicia. If Grace or Tina told the truth, then there would be 2 truthful people, but Emily knew only one person wasn't lying. Patrick really wanted to come to a private party, but the security would ask each person if they knew the secret access code. Patrick decided to overhear their conversations. When the person came up to the entrance, the security said 6, and the guest said 3. Then the security said 10 to the second visitor, and the reply was 3 as well. The third visitor also said 3, but the security said 2. Patrick thought he was ready to join the best party in town. When he came up to the entrance, the guard said 7, and Patrick replied 3. The security didn't let him in. What should Patrick have said to get into that fancy party? He should have said 5. The guest needed to count letters. 6, 10, and 2 have 3 letters. That's why the answer was 3. In the word 7, there are 5 letters. Ben loved diamonds. For some time, he would spend $5,000 a day on precious stones. At some point, he realized he had too many gems, so he started selling them at $3,000 a piece. Sometime later, he became a millionaire. How is that possible if he was obviously losing money? Before his gem rush, Ben used to be a billionaire. Since he started losing money, he became only a millionaire. A vampire moved to a big city where nobody knew him to start a brand new life. Still, he just couldn't help it and started biting locals every single night. People got scared and invited a private investigator to solve the problem. A couple of days later, Detective Reitman had 3 suspects. He decided to visit each of them to find out who the vampire was. After visiting all the houses, he was sure he found the vampire. Who was it? Well, the man on the left has loads of garlic in the kitchen, and vampires are scared of it. The second suspect had a lot of silver-plated accessories, earrings, piercings, and a chain. Vampires don't really like silver. The guy in the blue shirt is a vampire. Long ago, in the kingdom of Riddles, a criminal was caught. The guards took him to the king, who was famous for loving riddles. King Archibald said that if Harry, the criminal, managed to solve his riddle, he would set him free. Harry agreed, and Archibald drew a 2-foot line on the ground with his foot. The king asked Harry to make this line 2 times shorter without touching it. In the end, Harry was free. What did he do? Harry drew a 4-foot line with his foot, so that the one the king drew got 2 times shorter. Karen took part in a TV quiz where she could win 1 pound of pure gold. This quiz wasn't like ordinary ones. At the end of the show, the host brought her 3 large jars. Each of them has 1 pound of pure gold inside, plus some unpleasant surprise. The first jar has venomous snakes inside, the second one is full of acid, and the third one is filled with boiling hot water. Karen can only use her hands to get the gold out of the jars. She has 30 minutes to think. Which one should she choose? Karen should choose the one with hot water. It cools down pretty fast, and it's gonna get lukewarm in half an hour. Guess who's rich now?
A notorious bank robber came to the city, and huge sums of money started to disappear from the vaults of the city's banks. No one could stop the criminal. They were never caught on CCTV cameras. Bank security officers never saw anything suspicious. There was only one strange thing about the thief. They always left behind a slip of paper with a tooth, spider, and a lizard drawn on it. Was it some code? But several months later, the police managed to arrest 3 suspects. They were Mr. Pantafent, Ms. Toospard, and Mr. Superhero. Yep, some people do have bizarre last names. Who is the infamous bank robber? It was Miss Toospard. The pictures she kept leaving behind were her hint. Tooth, spider, lizard. Brandon's wife Brenda went to visit her friend who lived in another town. They agreed she would call her husband when she arrived there. But instead of calling, she sent him a message. Hey, everything is fine. I'll just go downstairs to buy coffee. I'll be brief now. More details in the next message. Love ya. Once Brandon read this message, he jumped into his sports car and rushed to the town where his wife had gone. Why? Brenda isn't simply terrible at spelling. The typing errors make up the word save. Someone stole extremely important documents from Mr. Larson's office. 1 week later, the police arrested the criminal. It was a woman called Emily. She was being questioned for 3 days straight, but still refused to tell the police where the folder with the documents was. Then, several officers visited her apartment. At first sight, nothing was out of the ordinary. But after careful inspection, they figured out where the documents were. Can you do the same? One floor tile seemed to be loose. Once the officers lifted it, they found the papers. When Victoria went to college, she started to live in a dormitory, sharing a room with another girl, Maria. Victoria's neighbor was very popular with guys. She had 3 admirers, Walter, Nathan, and Jeremy. But one day, Maria disappeared. Victoria was sure one of the guys was behind this. Maria loved drawing, and there were several pictures on her table. Victoria looked at them attentively and realized who she should ask about her friend. Jeremy must know something. Look at the pictures. A jacket, yo-yo, mouse, earth, rocket, and elephant. The first letters of these objects make up his name. Look at this poor guy. He seems to be stuck in the middle of a natural disaster. Which one should he choose to survive? A tornado, flood, or lightning strike? The only place where the guy might find some kind of shelter is a high hill behind his back. High ground during a lightning storm or a tornado is a terrible idea, which means the man will only be able to survive a flood. Carl was a rich man who had 2 adult sons, Ethan and Christian. They all lived in one house. One day, Carl saw that his most expensive ancient Chinese vase was missing. The only people who were at home the night before were his sons. The man didn't want to involve the police. That's why he decided to talk to each of his sons himself. He saw Ethan driving through the gates. He was back from his daily visit to the bakery. The guy said that the night before, he'd been practicing the guitar in his room. He didn't notice anything suspicious. Christian was near the swimming pool. He told his father, "Now I understand. Yesterday I saw Ethan. He was putting some box in the back seat of his car. It must have been the vase." But Carl immediately realized it was Christian who had taken the vase. How did he figure it out? Ethan drives a sports car. It only has 2 seats. He couldn't have put the box in the back seat. It means Christian is lying. Jack and Deborah lived in a pretty small house near a forest. One day, the man went for a walk and never came back. Deborah called the police, and they went to search for her husband. Soon they spotted him. He was lying on the ground, trapped under a large tree that had fallen on top of him. Suddenly, a stranger appeared from behind the trees. He exclaimed, "How terrible! But it's not a surprise, really. The wind was so strong this morning, it must have knocked down this tree." The police officers immediately arrested the man. Why? The tree doesn't look broken by the wind. It looks as if someone cut it down. It was an unusually snowy winter. Detective Adam Davis was walking home from his office when he saw a young woman. She was carrying 2 large bags. For some reason, the girl seemed suspicious to the detective. He came up to her, showed her his badge, and asked what she had in her bags. "Oh, I'm going on vacation. That's just some stuff I'll need there." And still, Adam called for backup and arrested her. Why? Look at the woman's footprints. She got out of the house through the window. A bizarre way to leave your own home. She must have broken into the house, and there are stolen things in her bags. A man was walking along a railroad track. Suddenly, he saw a train speeding toward him. But instead of getting away from the track immediately, the man started to run in the direction of the approaching train. When the train was very close, he finally jumped off the track. Why did he do this? When the man saw the train, he was on the bridge. He couldn't leave the track right away, and the nearer end of the bridge was closer to the oncoming train. Ryan worked as a cook's assistant in Mr. Miller's house. One day, the man's competitors promised Ryan to pay him a huge sum of money if he poisoned the rich businessman. Ryan waited until the cook took a day off. Then he made dinner for the whole family, Mr. Miller, his wife, and their 2 children. Each family member ordered a different dish. Ryan only poisoned the one the businessman was going to eat. You can save Mr. Miller if you guess which dish is his. Keep in mind that Donna, the man's wife, is a vegan. The businessman himself loves meat. Kira, the daughter, is on a diet, and Amy can't eat sugar. So, which dish did Ryan make for Mr. Miller? It's spaghetti with meat sauce. Congrats, you saved Mr. Miller. 4 girls were driving to a party. At some point, the one who was behind the wheel failed to control the car and crashed into a tree. Luckily, everyone in the car was wearing seatbelts, so no one was hurt. But when the police arrived, none of the girls wanted to admit she was the one who was driving. The officers examined the car and looked around, and in no time, they knew which girl was lying. Can you figure it out? Almost all the girls are wearing really high heels. It must be extremely uncomfortable and unsafe to drive wearing such shoes. And only the girl in the black dress has sneakers on. She was the driver. A math teacher told his students about Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw one line and turn 9 into 6. His only condition was that the students couldn't lift their pens from the paper until the line was finished. Mark was the first one to complete this task. How did he do it? He drew the letter S in front of IX and got 6. Jeffrey was brought up by his grandfather, who was a billionaire. Unfortunately, the guy didn't seem to know the value of money. The elderly man worried about his grandson. He told Jeffrey he would stop giving him money until the guy got married. It meant that Jeffrey had to forget about his fun life. No more fast cars, parties, and clubs. Luckily, it didn't take the guy long to find a girlfriend. They met on a dating site. Amanda seemed to be everything Jeffrey had been dreaming about. Smart, pretty, funny, and rich. The guy was about to propose to her when something happened. One day, Amanda sent him a photo. In this photo, she was standing next to a luxurious car. The message she sent afterward read, "How do you like my new toy?" That's when Jeffrey realized Amanda had been lying to him all this time. How did he figure it out? The girl is wearing a badge in the photo. She must be working at a car dealership, not buying extravagant cars. There was a blackout in the city, but a bus driver still noticed a dog on the road. He managed to stop in time not to hit the animal. How come? This near miss happened during the day. They have no feathers, no scales, no body, and no bones. And yet, they have fingers and thumbs of their own. What are they? A pair of gloves.